Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of The Suited Shootist. And as promised, we are talking about the concealment of the shoulder holster, at least kind of my findings on it up to this point. Obviously, I haven't spent a ton of time with them yet, and this is still a work in progress. So all this is subject to change, but I've found a couple of things that I wanted to share. So, number one, this jacket does not fit me exceptionally well. It's pretty big on my frame. So, that's kind of part of the problem, is there needs to be a fairly significant amount of extra room, at least within the chest and the body of a jacket, in order for this to really work well. And even still, with a Smith & Wesson shield, you can see it's kind of poking out the back. So the first premise is that this really only works, at least in a horizontal configuration, with short guns, Smith & Wesson shield, J-frames, P365s, etc. You know, the die-hard rig of running a Beretta 92 or a Glock 17 or some full-size duty gun in a horizontal shoulder rig, expressly when concealing under a sport coat or a suit jacket, is going to be a very challenging proposition, because from muzzle to butt, it is going to be a much larger dimension than you physically have. And I'm not a small guy, you know, I'm 6 foot, 230-ish pounds, depending on the day right now. And so if you're going to try and carry a larger gun, probably going to be better off trying to run it in a vertical rig, because then at that point, the only challenge you're really having to run is the grip, as opposed to the full length of it. But, like, to give you an idea, even with probably 5 extra inches of fabric in this jacket, it doesn't print bad, but it does print. And I was actually at my tailor shop with this exact rig on, talking about some of these concepts. I've been able to get it to work-ish, but not to where I'm satisfied with the level of concealment. Now, the next big piece of it, and this is where I was really screwing up initially, was I am mercifully still a little bit broader at the chest than I am in the midsection. So measuring probably about 47-ish inches at the nipple line, and 42-ish at the widest point of my waist. And ridiculously enough, I was not applying Filster's concealment mechanics tenets to this. And so what I was trying to do was I was trying to jam the gun up real high into my armpit at the widest point of my torso. So as you can see, I've dropped it down to where the grip is kind of riding at the floating ribs more than it is, kind of across the chest area. And so that does buy me a little bit of concealment, because again, the goal is, if you're going to wear this under a suit coat, unfortunately it's going to be kind of a box cut American style suit coat where it's going to be a straight drop. You're not going to get a whole lot of taper in the body of the jacket. And if you are broader at the chest than you are through the midsection, still at least a feasible proposition. But in order to do that, the gun needs to ride lower than your widest dimension. So that's kind of the other major factor of it. Now, I have not spent any time myself with vertical rigs yet. I don't necessarily know that I'm gonna. But again, if you're going to be trying to carry a larger gun, then that might be your best solution. If you're not trying to carry it under a suit jacket, but you're just trying to carry it under, outerwear, so like a jacket that you're simply wearing to keep you warm, then I think at that point the shoulder rig definitely makes a little bit more sense. If I were to go back down to the Gulf, and if I was, say, doing fishing or something where I'm wearing waders and I can't necessarily get to my waistline, then possibly a shoulder rig would make more sense in a field context. And I know that one of the big kind of criticisms of it is the path of the muzzle as the gun clears the holster. So I want to touch on that just real quickly. And essentially all of it starts from a position that, if you've taken any of the ShivWorks curriculum, you're familiar with, and it would be the vertical elbow shield, which is part of the default cover position that Craig Douglas and Cecil Birch and the rest of that collection teaches. The idea being is that when you're coming up, that gets all of this out of the way, so that then when you actually do clear the gun, all you've got to do is drop the muzzle straight down and then rake your thumb across your body, and you're back to the normal position. That was another thing that I struggled with, was I was trying to actually flick the thumb brake out as opposed to just driving my thumb in. That was a big mistake, and just kind of a little technique thing that I had to figure out. But essentially, as long as you get that vertical elbow shield in place, then you can clear the gun, orient the muzzle, come up, and then your draw stroke functions as usual. So, hope you found this useful. I don't want to take up too much time, but those are my preliminary findings, and let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments below. Hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.